If you look at the modern economy, it's hard not to feel a creeping sense of anxiety. We are trapped in a constant cycle of sudden inflation, speculative bubbles that wipe out savings, and an inequality gap that just keeps widening. When we try to find the roots of these recurring crises, we usually turn to the same historical suspects. We look to Adam Smith or Karl Marx, assuming the blueprint for understanding economic dysfunction must come exclusively from Western industrial history. But the most accurate diagnostician of our current financial rot didn't live in 19th century Europe. He was Abu Hamid al-Ghazali, a Muslim scholar writing around 1100 CE, right in the middle of the hyper-wealthy, rapidly expanding Islamic Golden Age. Ghazali was watching his own society boom. Trade routes were pushing vast amounts of silk, spices, and silver through cities like Baghdad and Cairo. But he noticed that while the empire was getting incredibly rich outwardly, it was decaying inwardly. People were becoming obsessed with accumulation while drifting entirely away from social meaning. He realized that an economic collapse rarely starts because a society physically runs out of money or resources. A system breaks down when the money itself loses its moral compass. To see how an economy rots from the inside out, Ghazali broke down the function of currency. He argued that money is just a mirror. It has absolutely no intrinsic value on its own. A gold or silver coin only possesses power because of the trade, cooperation, and building it allows people to do. Because it's merely a tool for exchange, Ghazali identified his first major economic pathogen: hoarded wealth. To him, money locked away in chests or buried under floorboards was completely dead. When wealthy individuals lock their money away, they create artificial scarcity. It's not that the resources don't exist, it's that the circulation is completely blocked. The idle money stops paying workers, it stops funding trade, and the surrounding markets begin to fracture. The mechanics of 11th century hoarding operate almost identically to modern offshore tax havens and massive capital silos. Whether the wealth is gold in a chest or numbers in a hidden digital ledger, the outcome remains the same. Capital is extracted from the active economy. It no longer circulates to fund local businesses or support regional wages, leaving the rest of the network to starve. Ghazali described this hoarding as freezing the literal bloodstream of society. When the wealthy refuse to let their capital flow, they systematically starve the working class. The second pathogen he diagnosed was speculation. Ghazali fully supported trade, but he drew a strict line against merchants who manipulated prices, created artificial shortages, or profited off the suffering of others without contributing any actual value. He saw this kind of speculative extraction as a contagion. When participants cheat, use false weights, or hide defects, it destroys the baseline trust that markets require to function. Once that trust erodes, the economy crashes right behind it. But the most dangerous pathogen didn't come from the merchants, it came from the state. Medieval rulers frequently diluted the gold or silver content of their coins to stretch their budgets and hide their own debts. Ghazali viewed currency debasement as a form of stealth inflation, an act of theft that specifically targeted the poor by forcing them to accept coins with reduced purchasing power. And he accurately predicted the chain reaction. When citizens realize the state is stealing their purchasing power, they lose faith in the government. They abandon the local coin entirely and turn to stronger foreign money to survive. Corruption radiates downward. When a government cheats its citizens by debasing the money, it signals to every merchant and individual that they are justified in acting unethically too. The entire system rots from the top down. All of Ghazali's observations point to a single crucial reality. Money is not a mathematical object, it is an intricate belief system. And once people stop believing, the system stops functioning. We see this exact dynamic driving modern financial collapses. When trust in a nation's institutions vanishes, the currency always follows, eventually ending up as nothing more than ink on worthless paper. Today, we try to solve economic crises by tweaking interest rates, writing new regulations, or adjusting monetary formulas. But those mechanical fixes are useless if the underlying human incentives still reward extraction over contribution. To actually protect an economy, a society must actively align its systems to reward honest, productive behavior. The drive to accumulate wealth has to be balanced by a concrete duty to uplift the community. Ghazali's core warning remains: when wealth breaks its bond with moral responsibility, the system eventually collapses under the weight of its own distrust. Recognizing these patterns allows us to see through the complexity of modern finance to the human rot beneath.